This conference will now be recorded.
All right, oops, I better turn this on. All right, it is now 4:30 PM on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, and I will call this regular meeting of council to order. We are meeting here in Victoria Beach at the East Beaches social scene, and I respectfully acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Red River Métis people. I was corrected at a meeting of the Métis people here in the parking lot on Sunday or Saturday, so I appreciate that. Introductions around the table. I will start at my far right with Councillor Randall.
Hello, I'm Graham Randall. Erwin Kupka.
Penny McMorris, Mayor.
Ian Chadsey.
Lon Turner, CAO.
And on the screen,
Hello, Steve Axcody.
thank you, everybody. And thank you to Frank and Dennis for setup and takedown here at the social scene. Adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. I know there are a couple of additions, so may I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Steve. Thank you. Just for council, one addition is the mobility mat purchase for the Albert Beach project. Another addition is stair repairs for 8 sets of municipal stairs. And Mr. Chadsey?
I just wanted to add, maybe we could just add it to that, and we discuss how we can streamline some of the easier stairs that need to be repaired. And we had an email from Heather Willoughby talking about one spot over on Bayview, and I think we can just discuss that.
Great. Any other?
That other one, letter of support for the
Oh, pardon me?
EVTC,
A
East
letter-
Mountain Vocational Training Center.
a letter of support for the Eastman Vocational Training Center as well.
TC.
Vocational Training Center. All right. Any other additions, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the minutes of the April 18th and May 2nd, 2023 minutes of council. Be it resolved, the minutes of the April 18th and May 2nd, 2023 regular council meetings be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Ian. Thank you. Any comments, gentlemen? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a delegation tonight on accessibility. So I would like to welcome Mike Bellhouse and Rod Holman, who are 2 co-accessibility chairs on our Community Accessibility Committee. Can you please come up to the podium and the microphone, gentlemen?
Yeah, nice and close to your face.
Up.
There we go. That's it.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to thank council for allowing us to speak to you tonight. Rod and I are co-chairs of the Accessibility Committee, which has been around for 10 years now. No, I guess it's only 8 years because it was established 2 years after the Accessibility for Manitobans Act was passed. 2023 is the 10th anniversary of the passage of the Accessibility for Manitobans Act. It deals with physical, communication, and systemic barriers that prevent a significant portion of Manitobans from fully participating in society. The AMA aims to eliminate barriers by developing accessibility standards for government, public, and private sector organizations, including municipalities, businesses, and not-for-profit organizations. The province actually had a 10-year review. The act yesterday at Viscount Court, and there were a number of people in attendance from all parts of Manitoba and all areas of the accessibility community, and they gave some good feedback on what the act has done so far and where it needs to go in the future. Now, there are 5 standards that have been identified for improvements or actions on accessibility. The first one is customer service, which they've already put into effect, and every organization, business, government in Manitoba now has to take training on accessibility in customer service to make sure that they are serving the needs of the disabled community. The second one is employment, and that was just recently passed in the last couple of years, and Victoria Beach has put the employment standard into effect. Thanks very much to Vaughan and council for approving that standard. Third one is transportation, which is still to come from the government. Information, communication, and technology, how you get your information out to the public, whether it's written, oral, or via technological means, whether it's the internet or whatever. And that is still being developed, and we expect that one to come down in the next year or so. And the final one that the government wants all organizations to develop a standard for is the built environment. That would include all of the public buildings at Victoria Beach that are owned by the municipality. So that would include the store, the bakery, the Moonlight Inn, and it would include other parts of the built environment like the stairs to and from the beach, et cetera, et cetera. So the Accessibility Committee was formed in 2015 to work with council and make recommendations when barriers have been identified by the public. We become aware of those barriers. We try to find reasonable accommodation so that people can participate fully in the life of Victoria Beach. And there are lots of things that people aren't able to do, whether it's due to mobility issues, whether it's something that has to do with a visual impairment, an intellectual impairment, or impairment from any other kind of disease. So the Accessibility Committee does consist of membership, includes people living with disabilities, their caregivers, and healthcare professionals, all of whom reside in Victoria Beach. So we are familiar with the local area, we're familiar with the local issues, and we're looking at trying to come up with solutions that will serve Victoria Beach and make the beach accessible for all. The mandate for the committee was to identify the barriers and then make recommendations and present a plan to council. That plan was presented to council and approved in 2017. Many recommendations have been approved by council and have been completed, such as wheelchair ramps and automatic doors at municipal buildings, easier grip metal railings on stairs, and new steps at Clubhouse Beach. There are many more things that have been done. The full list can be found on pages 9 to 13 of the VB accessibility plan that is located on the website. And now I'll ask Rod to give some updates on some particular projects that we've done or is in the process of being done.
Thank you. You all have this interview, so I'm just gonna.
I was just going to say, please have a seat. You don't have to stand. Okay.
I just want to sort of get you up to date on where we are with certain projects that we're dealing with. Some of this has even changed since we wrote it for the last meeting, but then presented at the last meeting. It's been advanced at this point. The first project I want to talk about is the Albert Beach Accessibility Project. Members of the Community Accessibility Committee, the RMBB Council, and the Albert Beach Cottage Owners Association met and reached an agreeable compromise to this project. The land has been surveyed, quotes for the accessibility maps have been obtained, washroom drawings have been approved, so the project should be be started any day now. We received a $25,000 federal government grant to pay for a large portion of this project. With luck, it will be completed for this summer. Second project we're actively involved in right now is the Village Green Washroom. There's been a $42,000 grant obtained to pay for a large portion of this project. The washroom will be located near the washrooms at the tennis court. And in fact, we're going to be using the power and water from that to cut back on the cost of the new washroom. Plans are now being drawn up, and the work will probably be done this fall, if not this summer. The washroom will have an automatic door, all touchless fixtures, including elevated toilet, forced air hand dryer, stainless steel sink, and soap dispenser. There will be motion activated lights and venting fan will come on when the door is open. The third project that we're attempting now, and part of the $42,000 will go towards, is a ramp to the deck at the clubhouse.
Golf.
Oh, pardon me, at the golf course.
So, well, that's, there's so many.
Now, where are we going to go from here? Where are we going to try and focus? The original plan that we had was call for 3 accessible beaches. From a purely cost perspective, only 2 seem likely in the short term. One is the Albert Beach project, which we're well on the way, and the second is the Clubhouse Beach project. There's already an accessible washroom at the clubhouse site, and parking lot for 2 vehicles can be put in at very little cost. The largest cost is going to be beach access. Once the beach access from the pier point is determined, this is where we will access it, not at the clubhouse, but at pier point. Once the beach access from pier point is determined, a grant will be requested to cover the majority of funding for this project. There are some modifications to existing projects. Some of the stairs, there should be some modification to the handrails. I'll talk to Graham about that. And we have to, when funding becomes available, improve the accessible washrooms that we have now or are going to have at Albert Beach. So these will be upgraded when we can secure funding. I've got a couple of final comments. One, the accessibility plan was never meant to be a static document. New barriers are being identified, new strategies developed to mitigate or remove these barriers are becoming available. The plan should regularly be modified and reflect these realities. And finally, on behalf of the Community Accessibility Committee, I would like to thank Councillor Graham Randall for his dedication, diligence, and basic hard work in ensuring the action plan for the accessibility moves forward. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I have a couple of final comments as well. We have forwarded to council suggested guidelines for granting of medical vehicle passes. And they're very similar to existing guidelines with little change. But one thing that we've always understood is the medical permit guidelines have always been written. So we ask the council look at them and make sure they're in writing so it's memorialized for future councils and that there's some consistency in granting those medical passes. I want to thank Lon and Penny for setting up a web page dedicated to accessibility issues. We'll work to populate that page with information and appropriate links. One of the things that came out of the review of the accessibility Tobin's Act yesterday is that there's not enough information out in public about awareness of accessibility issues, about the act itself, what it does and what it obligates municipalities and companies and other organizations to do. And accessibility rights are human rights. So we have to work to ensure that the rights of the disabled people are respected, and governing legislation applies to all Manitobans. So we have to be respectful of the rights not only of our residents, but also of renters and all people who visit Victoria Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Jeff, have a seat, Mike, if you like. Hold the mic. Okay. Go ahead, Ian.
I had a question. When you started out, you started talking about 5 things the government's doing, and I think the third one was transportation. And I just wondering, what is that? What's that referred to? I don't know what that is.
Well, for most organizations, and this would basically apply to municipalities and people who operate transportation services for hire, whether it be private bus lines, public bus lines, taxis, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have that here. We do have taxis, but it is something that the municipality is not in control of those taxis. So we don't have to come up with guidelines for that. What we have to do as an organization, as a municipality for Victoria Beach, is find ways to make reasonable accommodations for people who cannot use the taxi service for various reasons, whether student mobility issues or illnesses or whatever it may be. So for those people who can't use a taxi service at Victoria Beach, they have to be granted an accommodation, which is basically what the medical vehicle permits are all about.
Good, thank you.
And that's it. Steve, any questions? Okay,
I think it was very thorough and, yep, it's all good.
yes, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very well done. All right, we're supposed to have a delegation on the subdivision, but I don't see anyone here on that.
Nobody's logged in.
And no one has logged in or applied to log in. No one is in the parking lot. All right, so we will move on to our committee reports, starting with Public Works. And Elaine sent that to me today. Just let me find it in my file paper. Maybe I won't find it in my file of paper. There it is. The Victoria Beach water system is being pressurized, and it is expected that water will be available to customers by today. If you happen to see a leak in any of the lines, please call Public Works at 204-756-2286 or the after hours number 204-756-2568. The annual startup boil water advisory is in place as imposed by the provincial government, and once lifted, a notice will be sent out. And I believe the water bills went out today.
In process.
They're in the process of going out, and the boil water advisory notice is in there.
Yep.
And it is or will be on our website. It is on the website. All right. Grading of roads will continue. Gravel will be put down as needed, and dust off will be applied soon. Brush piles are for brush only. For the safety of the cleanup crew, please, no building materials, no old boards with nails, no rocks, no metal poles, just brush. June 18th is the last date to put out brush on your road allowance for spring pickup. A reminder once again, the large green GFL commingled bin is for broken down cardboard boxes, paper products, aluminum and tin and plastic. Please break down the cardboard boxes. The smaller GFL bin is only for glass, and that does not include mirrors. The garbage bins are for bagged household garbage only. Contact Mike Bartmanovich if you wish to purchase a bear-resistant garbage container. When I spoke to Mike last week, he had about 23 of them left at a cost of $225, I believe, with delivery. The new VB garbage and recycling area will soon be open for business. Passes will be required. The fees for dumping at the Victoria Beach site will be the same as the Traverse Bay site. I do have a list of prices for Traverse Bay here if anyone has questions. Summer hours will be 9 to 5 daily and 9 to 5 during the winter, but closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays from Thanksgiving to the May long weekend. The RM of Victoria Beach cannot accept household hazardous waste or e-waste recyclable items per our environmental compliance and enforcement agreement. Water samples from the well at the fire hall and the Albert Beach Pump House are taken into Winnipeg regularly for mandatory testing. To receive notifications from the RM, please sign up for VB Connect. And I know some people said they did not get the most recent message about our financial plan. It was sent only by email. So if you did not check the box that said text, phone, email, you may not have received it. So please go and update your Connect if you would like to receive emails from us. And that is all I have for Public Works. All right, moving on, I will hand it over to you, Ian, for finance.
The operating budget, we Lon did a very thorough job at the last meeting, going through each line item, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. The budget for revenue is 3.5 million. We've spent about $175,000 so far, I think. And on the expense side, we spent about $800,000. Balance sheet is showing total assets showing 6.3 million, liabilities are 67,000. There's a surplus of 5.7. I think we're starting the year off on the right foot. I'm happy with that.
Good, thank you very much. Protective Services, Steve, do you have our fire report? Thank you.
All right, just had it up. Give me 1 second. Oh boy. There it is. I had too many windows open, sorry. The fire department was called out twice this month. Both calls were in the RM of Alexander. The first call was to a trailer used to haul away building materials from a construction site that was on fire. The trailer was destroyed, but there was no damage to the property structure. The cause of the fire could not be determined as there was nothing left to inspect. The second call was for an alarm company calling with a smoke detector sounding in a structure. There was no sign of smoke or a fire in the structure. Hydro had planned a power outage that day and had just turned the power back on when this call came in. It was concluded that the power being turned back on may have set off the smoke alarm. The fire department personnel spent this month preparing for the summer grass and brush fire season. The long-range forecast for our area is hot and dry. We have received some moisture with the snow and rain over the past fall and winter, but the drought over the last few years has caused the ground to absorb all this moisture, and this leaves us with very dry conditions to deal with this spring and summer. Residents are asked to review the Fire Smart program. Links can be found on the municipal website. Some things you can do would be to remove all materials from underneath and around your cabin, remove and replace high risk, high heat, quick burning conifers with deciduous trees, review locations that can trap floating embers, and take advantage of small moisture trapping techniques. Take advantage of soil moisture trapping techniques such as placing wood chips around your property, provided that they are at least 5 meters away from your residence. That will actually trap in the moisture into the soil, and the trees will get the moisture that they need to not burn quite so fast.
All right, is that it, Steve?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
I can go on if you want, but.
No, that's okay. We'll move on, but thank you. I'll move on to Erwin and police report, please.
Thank you, Mayor Morris. A number of questions were raised at previous meetings, and at the last meeting of the police board, the public meeting, a number of those questions were asked of our chief constable. Specifically, there was some questions about what was going to be the schedule for hourly operation of our police in the winter and in the summer, and those details were discussed in detail. For public safety reasons, we will not be advising the public what the actual police hours and shifts are going to be, because you really don't want to let the bad guys out there know when the police start to work. But the police board and myself are satisfied that the scheduling work is thorough and should provide good coverage. Second question that was raised was relating to whether it was appropriate for our police force to be occasionally patrolling outside of the municipality. That question was responded to by our chief constable by saying that from time to time, he has been asked by the RCMP in Powerview to assist in looking for people, tracking them down. There was one specific case where a father had called the RCMP in Powerview saying his son had taken off in a vehicle, and could our police force be on the lookout for him? Well, the logical place for a teenager to go with a car is likely to the Birchwood. And so they drove down to the Birchwood, and sure enough, they found the young man. Question was also raised about the appropriateness of having our police force occasionally patrol the Birchwood parking lot. And generally, it was commented on by the police board that it's probably not a bad idea for the police to drive through there from time to time. If I'm in there having a few beverages and I see the police vehicle drive by in the parking lot, I might be inclined to not have that third or fourth beverage. And from a safety point of view, it was generally that would be appropriate. It is not being done on a regular basis. There are no regularly scheduled patrols outside of the municipality. Some good news. The Criminal Forfeiture Act is providing some funding for, Victoria Beach, and we will be getting either 2 or 3 e-bikes, which will be used to patrol the community. You know, physical presence of police is the most effective deterrent against crime. Driving, along in a vehicle is one thing. Going along on a bike is you get to see an awful lot more. But if someone, for example, is up in Sandy Bay and a call comes in from Albert Beach, by the time the fellow would get down there, or girl on a regular bicycle, they'd be whipped. So now with e-bikes, they'll be able to move quite quickly. They will be mindful of speed limits, and the board encouraged our chief constable to make sure that excessive speed was only used when absolutely necessary for emergency purposes. And to say that property forfeiture thing provided funding, and they will be paying for either 2 or 3 bikes, depending on the style that we be purchasing. A couple more questions. It was a really good meeting, and I was very encouraged to hear the prompt, reasonable responses from our chief constable. The question was asked at previous meeting, what about the foot patrols? And apparently Chief Constable Pauls has a regularly scheduled, he walks certain walks within the municipality. And again, having walked a lot of the municipality myself, you see an awful lot more about what's going on, especially in the wintertime when the foliage is all gone. In terms of the incident reports, pleased to report that there have been no break-ins during the first 4 months of 2023, which is always a concern. We were called upon to assist the RCMP 3 times this past month. There were 4 bylaw infractions with respect to dogs. There was 2 local collisions where they're involved in a motor vehicle report. We get a very extensive report with about probably 100 different categories of activities. The reporting process is slightly different this year than compared to last year. Last year, police reported that they were involved with 31 different activities. For the month of April in 2023, they were involved in 97. So the amount of activity is increasing, and the reporting detail is also. So it was a really good meeting, and it's a learning curve for someone like myself, and I found it to be quite reassuring, and I felt a much higher level of comfort that things were in good shape. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Ian? And then I'll get to you, Steve.
I just had a question about dog infractions. What would that be?
Well, we have a dog bylaw that restricts the hours and on leash, off leash rules within the municipality. In essence, a dog is not supposed to be off leash at any time. And they're allowed to be on the beach. I think it's after 8 in the evening and up till 10 in the morning, but again, on leash only. So unfortunately, we have areas of the beach that are accessible. I don't mean this in a negative way, but there's a lot of people come to the beach who don't know our rules. And I think that's something that we have to work on because, you know, they don't realize that it is not, we do have a bylaw restricting having dogs on the beach.
Is there bylaw on the barking?
Yes,
What would that be?
there's no parking on any street.
Barking.
Barking.
Oh, barking.
Dogs that bark all day long.
Correct, we do have a noise bylaw.
And it covers barking at loud parties and this and that. I think it's after 11 PM and so on.
No, if it's a barking dog and it's been going on all day, you could also call our dog person, enforcement person, or the police, and they could come talk to the owner.
You know, on that point, I'd like to see our dog enforcement officer patrol once or twice on a Saturday and Sunday during the weekends in July and August to clarify and provide some guidance, not necessarily hand out tickets, but hand out some warnings and let people know what our rules are.
Steve, you had a comment?
So just for the dog situation, that would most likely fall under the noise bylaw because, the nuisance bylaw, because the noise bylaw only comes into effect at certain hours versus the nuisance bylaw is just sort of generally affecting a whole area. So that's where that would most likely fall in. That can be seriously mitigated with the installation of a dog run. A lot of these dogs sort of suffer throughout the day because a lot of cabins don't have air conditioning, but at the same time, if we had a dog run, that would also be a spot where dogs could legally get off leash, and then you wouldn't have the situation where you have so many people that are just simply saying that I'm going to let my dog off leash. So there's an area that they can go that can solve a lot of those issues. Just real quick, just to jump on to the actual report. And what was being said is that the VB police are provincial police, just so that everybody's aware, and have jurisdiction anywhere in the province. So when they're outside of Victoria Beach, it doesn't mean that they are not able to enforce anything. So when they're over the bridge, but they can enforce anything. When they're along the highway, they can enforce any provincial or federal statute. We also have to remember that the RCMP can't respond to all calls, and it can't cover all their entire area efficiently. So Victoria Beach police helping out as much as possible also ensures that they're going to have the RCMP support, which can be really needed, especially with some calls. And then also with our police sort of monitoring the local area around Victoria Beach, that ensures that criminals are not only viewing Victoria Beach as a really no-go area, but also see that, okay, there's not just a line in the sand, that they could be anywhere in the surrounding areas. And so it's just increasing that visibility, which, as we've seen over the last multiple years, has been used to great effect in helping to reduce the number of break-ins and issues inside of Victoria Beach.
Thank you, Steve.
Just one more point I forgot. The new police radios have arrived and apparently they are working extremely well. The flow of information from the large police databases makes it a lot easier for our police to identify who might be, say, for example, on a warrant or driving an unlicensed vehicle, et cetera. So Chief Constable Pauls was very happy with being able to get those new police radios.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
Just a brief observation, as far as the e-bikes and other devices. What we generally refer to it as, and then what you were searching for, Erwin, is the proceeds of crime. Quick,
Grant,
yeah.
yeah.
So let's go into very good use. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. All right, and thank you, Steve, for the fire. I don't have anything to report for special events, so that moves on to the golf course. Anything from you, Ian?
Nothing new. They just started to open up the golf course. They spent a little bit of money on chemicals and fertilizer. I haven't actually been up to the golf course, but to get up there this week. So I'll have that report next time.
Okay. A live in-person report, reporting from the Key golf course.
No video.
Great, thank you. Moving on to very busy municipal buildings with Councilor Randall.
Yes, thank you. I've sent my report to all councilors a day or two ago. I hope you'll take the time to at least look through it. It's an awful lot of detail. But it needs to be said, it needs to be acknowledged. And you will have guessed that my report is actually a checklist for myself as much as it is for you. So it serves a double purpose. I'm not going to go into every one of these, just touch on a few things. The golf course, the roofing, is my understanding that will be dealt with later on during the course of this meeting. The Moonlight Inn, the structural engineering assessment was done, and the geotech drilling started this morning. So with the geotech and the structural recommendations, our architect will now be able to proceed with the overall project costing rough estimates, which of course we need to inform the June 10th meeting. I met with the Wansing Beach Garden Owners Association on Ed Randall Park, and I'd like to thank the cooperation of Public Works and the person of Dane for joining me. We've worked out a program that I think will keep everybody quite satisfied. The Upper Beach accessibility, it was scheduled to complete the site work and bury the tank yesterday, Monday. He should have been there. And at the same time, I don't know, it's not exactly a shortcut, but at the same time, he was also going to remove that outhouse from the doctor's office. The Village Green washroom, we're continuing to revise the drawings based on feedback we got from the accessibility committee. Number 4 Bayview, we run into a bit of a snag, and I think we need a survey, and I've requested that. And I had an interesting conversation with Ian earlier today, and we might even want to take a look at an alternate plan, a cheap solution. I'm going to see what I can come up with. Okay. We've been approaching it on doing it the right way. Big deal, big dollars. Not happening. And the people over there are understandably disappointed in this. I'm going to see, perhaps with Ian's help, we can find a cheaper, easier way to do it. Dr. Scotland's Bayview, the police CCAN, fortunately, another structural engineer was out to meet with Public Works a couple of days ago, and he's provided his recommendations on support for the columns. So we hope to see some vertical columns going up, following, we believe, screw piles from Randy. Get those columns out, then we can bring in the crane and get that roof out of the way and set up, and then we can bring in our CCAN before it dies of old age, and have wired for basic electrical services. The stairs, just this morning, and I've sent it all to you. I got a complete list of quotes from our friend Grant at Deck Dynasty. That's going to come up later in this meeting as well. Anyway, he jumped to the front on that and did a pretty good job. The VB store, the ceiling work's been done, the painting's been done, and I've got Mike's handyman lined up to do some little fix-ups around the place. At the bakery, there's just a couple of things to deal with, and that's under control. The SBC engineering group is coming out to meet with us on the Beach Crescent drainage. That's been set up for 9:30 a.m. on May 31st.
Not 10 a.m.?
No, we've gone from 9:30. They suggested 9, a split the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, there's going to be a pretty large gang show up for that because it's a big issue. And I'm inviting everybody who might have a stake in it, whether they be a contractor or a concerned citizen or whomever. Back to the barracks, work's proceeding on the hydro, and I've already mentioned it's open to all of us as far as the Victoria Beach Cottage Association, some initiatives on tidying up some street intersections. So just a brief overview of what's what, and that concludes my municipal buildings report. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Any comments on that? Very thorough, Graham. Thank you for all your efforts in that file. I know it's a big one. Moving on to the Doctors Committee. Steve, do you have anything to report?
I do. So the Doctors Committee is still searching for a full slate of doctors. Currently, we have 2 doctors, each covering a week of service, and are currently expecting to hear shortly from 2 other candidates. The committee has reached out to Eastern Health for assistance in filling the staffing vacancies. Facebook post has also been uploaded for another call out to find the needed doctors to fill up the additional 6 to 7 weeks that are remaining. Orders for the needed equipment will be on hold until we can fill the staffing needs of the office, and that way we can manage cost effectively. So right now, the biggest thing that we have is to try to find additional doctors to come in. Yeah, normally they're chomping at the bit, not quite as much this year.
Okay, where were they putting it out? What Facebook group were they putting it out on? Do you know?
I would have to, I'd have to double check as to exactly which one, but I can let you know later on tonight.
Okay, because if we could put it on our official Facebook page.
Yeah,
Instead of just a community Facebook page.
Yeah, that would probably be a fairly decent idea.
Yeah,
Like I said, this is very rare. Usually it's more of an issue as to turning them away. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, I wish them luck. But if they want to send me a blurb, I can put it on our official Facebook page.
Okay, I'll get that done.
Okay, thanks, Steve. On to communications. I did send a draft message to council last week. We haven't sent it out yet. I was just waiting for the water to be settled and a couple other things, so I can update that message and resend it to council and Lon and see if there's any additions or changes to make on that and get that out by Connect. And thanks to Lon for updating our website. He's been adding some pages. So thank you for that. And some of them are still under construction. But VB Herald is coming up, so we'll be putting our weekly article in there as well. Anything else for communications, Steve?
Nope. So the biggest thing is just sign up for Connect and use your Victoria Beach address. I mean, aside from that, you've already covered everything.
Okay, thank you. Summer Information Office, I have nothing to report. It's staffed. The ladies are ready to roll.
Good.
Anything for you?
There's a window that's cracked there. That goes on, you know, who's,
Your list.
yep, well, me and Mike Elliott.
Yeah, I don't know, there's duct tape on there.
It was falling off. I peeled it off, so it doesn't look as bad. So.
All right, thank you, Graham. Building inspector, back to you, Graham.
That to be. Thank you to our building inspector, Curtis Bourdain, for his regular report. One development permit, one attached garage, one bunkhouse, and 3 additions. Total construction, $216,000. Year to date, $1,125,000. So it's slackened off from the last couple of years. The fees collected this month or last month, $2,700. So year to date is $13,279. Chatting with Curtis, because our post mistress needed some sort of a letter pointing to our population increase. He agreed that it's fair to say that over the last few years, we've averaged 10 permit applications per month. So we continue to grow even though it's slacked off in recent months. And thank you, Curtis, and that's our building inspector report.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, we will move on to accessibility, and great presentation from Mike Bellhouse and Rod Bowman tonight. Thank you. And I was also at the 5-year review of the Accessibility for Manitobans Act yesterday at the Viscount Court. And this was there are 3 sessions being held. You didn't have to register for this one. You just needed to show up, and the room was packed. It was a great representation from all sorts of different people in the mostly from Winnipeg, including students. And so there was a lot of different perspectives, but as Mike said, lack of communication, lack of information, lack of compliance.
Yeah.
All of those things that the province needs to work on. And Access Awareness Week is May 28th to June 3rd. And during that week, there's a webinar being offered by the Accessibility Issues Office on reducing barriers to web accessibility and communication. So I'd like to attend that, and I'd recommend that some of our admin staff also attend to see how we can better provide information through technology to persons with disabilities. And that is one of the standards that Mike mentioned that's coming forward. So it's a free webinar. It's on Thursday, June 1st from 1 until 3 p.m. Just have to register with the Accessibility Office.
It's amazing, it is to be. The number of people who think of accessibility in terms of altruism, let's do the right thing and pat ourselves on the back. The number of people who don't realize accessibility is the law. These are laws that have come down from the province and they have to be adhered to. And we don't like to rub too many people's noses in that, but once in a while, it's appropriate.
And it is a human rights issue as well.
And you could also mention that it's something that we'll all eventually get to enjoy at some point as we go through the life cycle. It's really for the betterment of.
It is. Agreed.
Speaking of life cycles, if I could be excused for 2 minutes.
Go ahead, sir. We will carry on without you. Which takes us to heritage and trails. Steve, are you there? There you are.
Yep, sorry about that.
No worries.
So really with Heritage and Trails, there's not too much of an update. Lon has been very kind in giving as much time as possible and is extremely busy day to try to help out in setting everything up with the website. It is going to take some time for both. Once it is eventually set up, it's nothing that's going to come all at once, but eventually once it is set up, we'll be able to really utilize those 2 sites. But for now, it's more of just the waiting game. Although there was some information that Lon has been able to put up there that he thought was quite interesting, and there was just a little bit of history based on who we are. So yeah.
Good. I haven't had a chance to look at the websites yet, so thank you. Thank you both.
Oh, sure. One more quick thing. If you know anybody in the community who deserves recognition for their volunteer work, please, the form is online. If for some reason you can't find it, send me an email because these people deserve recognition for their hard work in the community. So I would like to get another volunteer award out as soon as possible.
Okay, good reminder. Thank you. All right. Anything further, gentlemen? Graham updated us on the Moonlight Inn. Still waiting for a couple dates or a date for the friends of the committee. But other than that, the June 10th meeting is happening at the Victoria Beach Community Club on Pier Road.
That's right.
In the afternoon.
And that shows up on our website.
thanks to Lon under Heritage, Moonlight Inn, and there's also a complete set of plans for anybody who cares to take a look at.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything further, gentlemen, on reports? Hearing none, be it resolved to accept the monthly committee reports as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Steve, second. Seeing all these hands go up. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Moving on to accounts and finances. Council received the accounts payable listing. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable, checks 11140 to 11222 in the total amount of $275,214.12. April gross payroll, total $83,643.41. Credit cards to April 21st. Statement balance of $6,624.80. Ian, would you like to move that motion?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. Ian, any comments?
Well, just a few. As you mentioned, the amount is $275,000. There were a lot of small checks in there. A total of 82 checks. We paid off maybe fencing, $4,200. Tax sale cost, maybe $800. $23,000 went to the Receiver General. $114,000 for insurance to Western Financial. And then I guess the pump house spent some money on sodium hydrochloride, getting the reserve pumps going. That was about $15,000. And then there was a few others. Manitoba Hydro was $9,000. Nirvana Waterworks $16,000. And then $5,000 for landfill for our half of the Alexander. That's pretty much it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions for finance? Steve?
Yeah, it's just more the accounts payable, and maybe it's just something that I've always missed, but it just seems as though we're paying a fairly hefty amount for our fire and public works phones as well as the police phones. The total bill is $530 and $293. It just, I don't know, it seems very high. So I know it's nothing that you guys can sort of respond to immediately, but I just kind of like to know if there's maybe like a different plan that we can get them on, because I mean, it does add up. So yeah.
Anything to add there, Lon? Or
So it's $530 for police phones. Is that is on there?
I think they have 3 cell phones. That would be
Yeah.
police, fire department. Well,
Yeah.
and I know we've got 2 phones there, one's back for emergency use.
My cell phone's on my phone.
Yeah.
But it's 3, maybe that's
The
better.
new police radios will reduce the use of personal cell phones. It gives them access to much more advanced communication capabilities, and there is a monthly cost involved.
And we must pay for some public works cell phones because these guys are almost on call.
Yep.
So I think,
Okay.
you know,
That makes sense. That makes sense.
something to look at, but I'm not sure we can do a whole lot about it at this point, but I'll leave
No,
that.
it was more just me not thinking for a second. I'm like, I was thinking in my head one phone, like one phone, $500. Like, are they calling China or like what's going on?
No, more than one phone.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion on finance?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to business arising from the previous meetings. So the first one is the 2023 budgeted revenues and expenditures. Be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approve the 2023 tax levy for municipal expenditures in the amount of $3,455,148.95. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Erwin, thank you. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Lon, can you just clarify what the increase in the mill rate is as a percentage?
Well,
Just under
the mill rate went down, but the overall tax that you're taxing everybody went up by 3.5%. But your taxable assessment has been going up pretty significant. As Graham mentioned earlier, all the new buildings and new value that's being added to the tax base that allows you to lower the mill rate to meet your needs.
Yeah, and anybody who is assessed, they look at their neighbors and the rising values, look what happened over these last year.
All right. Any other questions on this resolution?
Steve had a point.
Steve, go ahead, sorry.
It was just more of a thank you to the rest of council for supporting a 3.5% increase. I think that it really is the right thing to do right now, just to try to mitigate some of the damage by inflation. And it sets us in a better spot moving forward, especially if next year we see the same drastic increases. I'd also just like to raise the point that we don't know how active Airbnbs are in the area, but it's not unusual to think that they'd be having a fairly major effect in our community, the same as they do in others. So these new buildings and renovations, which were just alluded to, I think that we really need to jump on the bandwagon and start to look at methods of taxation for them as well, to try to offset some of our additional costs, same way that they're doing in Winnipeg, Toronto, and a whole bunch of other places. So I just wanted to throw that out there, given that we were talking about taxes and the new buildings and renovations were discussed.
Thank you, Steve. As I always say, the problem is enforcement. We can have all the bylaws and all the rules and regulations we want, but I don't know how we would enforce that. But that's a separate conversation.
Well,
So
the trick there, and I don't know how you do it, the trick there might be to isolate, focus on commercial rentals. And we all know who they are, the two biggest in the world. If we could apply a tax to them, that would not negatively impact very many of our residents.
all right, but that's a discussion for another day.
Another day.
Another day.
Big discussion.
It's a big discussion, yeah. So thank you. All right, any other discussion on this resolution? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to 8B, the 2023 capital budget. Be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approve the 2023 capital budget expenditures in the amount of $265,357.95. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Brian, thank you.
Should be 7B.
7B, yes. Second, Ian, thank you. Any discussion? No? If residents would like to see a presentation of our financial plan, our CA will put up a great PowerPoint presentation. It is on our website. It provides lots of information on our 2023 budget and our financial plan.
Right.
And that meeting was May 10th.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Sorry, thank you. Carried. Moving on to 7C, 2023 5-year capital expenditure. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the 5-year capital projections estimated at $1,905,000. May I have a mover? Thank you. Ian, second. Thank you. Discussion, gentlemen?
When that was formally presented, May 10th, within the 5-year, there's a few soft spots there that may come and go. So I think it's important that we recognize it as kind of a fluid document, and there's some things in there that we can work around.
Yes, we put them in because we need to put them in, but they don't always come to fruition, or they get further delayed.
And we're not committed to any of those expenditures. It's really a planning document for the province.
It helps to visualize the costs of all your needs and wants that are coming down the pipeline, so.
We consider it to be a draft.
All right. Steve?
Just really, just a couple of things on this. I think that this document here really shows to the people the necessities that councils had to take recently with increases, but with some of the foresight that we had last year to get some more money into our reserves, as well as some of the steps that we're taking right now, it makes achieving some of these, we said what things that we would like. None of these are things that we would necessarily like. I mean, we would like all of them, but we need all of these things. So we've taken steps to try to mitigate as much pain as it might be in the long term for the community. But none of these things are things that we can ignore. And I'd also just like to bring up the fact that fire truck expenditure keeps going up by quite a bit every single year. So the further that we kick it down the can or down the road, then the pricier that's going to get.
You're right, Steve. And as we watch the price of the fire truck go up, let's not forget that when we buy a truck, we need a new firewall, expanded firewall, because the modern day trucks won't fit. So one's going to have to springboard off the other. We'll have lengthy discussions about that. Ian and I have some ideas that we'll share with council down the road.
All right. Good discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. Any further discussion on this resolution?
We'll just park it at my cottage.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to the 2023 tax levy bylaw. Bylaw 1640. Be it resolved that bylaw 1640 fixing the rate of taxation for the year 2023 be given second reading. May I have a mover? I'll leave that one to Steve. Second, Ian. Any discussion on bylaw 1640, gentlemen?
Just reinforces what we presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Third reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 1640 fixing the rate of taxation for the year 2023 be given third reading and passed, and a reminder that this is a recorded vote for third reading of a bylaw. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Ian. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 5. That is unanimous. None against. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for all your work, council and our admin team for the 2023 budget.
And the managers too came in.
And the managers,
Spent some time with us.
our fire department, our public works guys. Thank you so much for all your input. All right, that was a good one. So we're moving on to 7E. Did you give me 7E?
There's no resolution, just a talk.
Zoning bylaw.
The zoning bylaw, special meetings and the plan forward. Once again, we talk, but we don't move. So
We move slowly.
we move very slowly.
We talked about it.
I know, Ron, that you made a phone call to a company about a planner.
Mhm.
Have you heard back?
No, we'll probably have to do a small RFP for that. I was just waiting to hear back from them to see how to write it up. And I've got a template for another one that I can use, so we'll get on that right away.
Still no word on the grant?
No, I don't know why it's taking so long. I'll follow
Election
up.
year. Was this a provincial grant?
Yeah.
Hmm,
Building system.
Election year.
Yeah.
I think.
I was talking with someone that gave you a name, and it's in my other notes. I don't have the name with me, but I can get you that name. This is another person that might be.
Yeah, well, we want to explore it because it would help us so much and cut through a lot of stuff. If we had someone we could work with who isn't wearing a government hat.
And we have got an FAQ. We still haven't put it up on the website. I don't think I've heard back from all of council on it. Even if we do put it on the website, it may be a little out of date, but it may answer questions that people had at the previous hearings.
Why don't we just put it?
Why don't we put it up? And then Erwin had a great plan for organizing meetings with residents and associations.
We just have to go through and update the dates, change the dates forward.
Again.
So I think it's important that we get going on this soon, just to let people know that there is a structure that we are willing to put in place to move this along in a reasonable way and in compliance with municipal act.
So let's just, anything that we put up there is just a plan for discussion. Let's get on with it.
Just to review them, we talked about this a few months ago. The idea is that we're going to reach out to certain groups and meet with individually, get their comments, and then I guess create a draft. And then maybe send it back to them, and they can look at it and see if they like it, and then we can move forward. Is that the plan?
Yeah, process to engage with the community. I made the statement, it's time to stop complaining and start creating. Let's challenge those various groups, those various individuals to let us know how they would draft changes. We're not throwing out the bylaw that was defeated. We're going to take it and we're going to fix a few spots in it.
And
We got to get on with it.
And the FAQs, let's go with what we got. It addresses all kinds of issues and uncovers little inconsistencies. Let's, as a first step, and then we proceed with the letters to the groups.
Something to consider then, I took the bylaw that you sent me, which was a PDF, so you can't make any changes to it. And then I had someone convert it to Word. So I had it in a Word document. So treat that as a draft one. And then as we go out and meet people and they say things, we can make notes, we can change things, in other words, just have a process where we go from draft 1 to draft 10, and you can have a record of everything because it's tracked on Word. And not, 3 months from now talking about, well, someone said this, someone said that. It's all there. And I would just recommend that's the way we treat this as a drafting process, so that when we get ideas for changes, put it in there, track it, and then when we have a conflict, that's when council can decide which way we're going to go.
And you're absolutely right. And just a quick note on the PDF documents that we can't change, we can't do anything with, because you got to pay $75 a month rent to Adobe. Tammy says they have the software. That's not very crazy, but if you got a PDF document, she can convert it for you. Lickety split, send it, so you can work on it.
Somebody at Delta 9 does the same thing. So, but it's just a lot easier. It's in Word. You can track the changes. Everyone can see it. If we take another 3 months to go through the process, at least we know what the comments were in month 1 versus month 2.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's keep everything as best we can in the Word format so we can exchange it more effectively.
We do have it in Word already at the office.
Right.
But we have to arrange these meetings, and whether they're going, it might be better to do them virtually. I'm not sure, just for everybody to attend.
Personally, I think the first round of meetings with the individual groups would be more efficient doing them virtually.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So all we need to do is set some dates or.
Yep.
And,
I'll go back and take a look at that scheduled document and adjust it for the dates and, let's get this thing going.
Would it make sense to hand out that draft 1 so that the different groups that we're meeting with can at least have the draft in front of them so they can look at it and say, page 7, I'd like to change this.
That was
Page
part
12, I'd like to
That
change
was
this.
part of the plan, to include the most recent version, was it 1622? Whatever the number.
Well, that's the version that's on our website.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's not on our website actually because it was defeated.
Because that way if it's in Word and they're receiving it, if we ask them to track their changes, then we know exactly what they want to change. And if you have 4 or 5 different groups, all you have to do is do a page flip and say, okay, 4 out of 5 people agree that this is what they want. One person says they don't want this. And, then we can make some decisions as to how to move this thing forward.
I think that's going to fall to admit.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right, and Steve's had his hand up very patiently.
There's 2 things. If you reach out to the associations, they should respond within a couple of days. Originally, when I proposed the schedule, they did respond almost immediately. So we should be able to set that up really quick. The second thing is, I just want to clarify, are you saying give them a copy of the working bylaw that we've been working on to make amendments to, or?
That's what it
All
is.
those things are, I'm suggesting
My timeline.
suggesting the bylaw that we have, at least the latest version, that's the one that we said we don't want to throw the whole thing in. We said we want to just correct it. So if we give them that version in Word, and ask them to use the tracking device in Word to make some changes, we can talk, they can talk to us about it, but we can also see what it is they want to change, and then allow us to compare. If we have 6 different groups on a page flip, you can see what one group wants, what the other group wants. And then as council, we have to find a compromise that's going to work.
Yeah, we can coalesce them.
Okay, so something like a Google Docs. And okay, if there's a way to actually track the changes, then I'm fine with that. I've just never worked with anything in Word that allows you to do that. But if there's a way, then there's a way. So sure.
Sure.
My only hesitation of putting it in Word is only that if some people, I'm not accusing anybody, but it can always happen by accident that if you change something and then you go back and say, no, this is what this actually says, and then it can cause some problems going forward. That's why I've always liked PDFs, is because it's a firm document there, and you can make just sort of notes on the side. But
Get hung up on technology at this point. I think it's fair to say that Reps Lon and I will have to become the designated scribes who will track the various presentations that we get and coordinate, because I totally agree with what Ian is saying. We need to have version 1 and then version 2, and version 3 with the notations.
Just a comment though, Steve, because I do this, I've been doing this for 20 years. You have version 1, and then when version 2 comes out, everything's tracked. So when you look at version 2, you get it clean and you get it tracked. So you can go back to the version 1 and say, look, this is what I thought we changed, and if somebody made a mistake, we can correct it. So each version that you send out, version 1, 2, 3, and 4, you get a clean version and you get the track version. So therefore, everything's on the table, everybody knows what's been changed, and hopefully you can get this thing done.
Okay, thank you, Erwin, and admin on for taking
We'll figure it out.
this challenge on. All right, any further discussion on zoning? All right, let's keep moving forward on the zoning bylaw. All right, new business. The BB store lease agreement. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approves the Victoria Beach store lease agreement between Manitoba Limited 5397643 and the municipality. Further be it resolved, the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign said agreement on behalf of the municipality. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Any discussion? This is for Lise and Jerry Barassa to operate the summer BB store.
Just for clarification, what's the term of the lease for our electric?
5 years.
5-year lease.
Are there some escalation clauses?
No. It's up a little bit from the last agreement.
So it's a slight increase in revenue for the municipality.
Yeah, and it's fair. It's based on what they have offered us at one point, as you may know, there was some doubt whether they were to enter this or not. So we're happy that we've reached an agreement, and let's just push it through. Right. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Eastman Vocational Training Center. Be it resolved to appoint blank to the Eastman Vocational Training Center Committee. Before I fill this in, Erwin, is this one that you said you would be interested in?
Correct.
So can I stick your name in there unless anyone?
Sure, Erwin Black.
Erwin blank? I could put in your. real
Both those
last
words
name.
go the other way.
All right, so be it resolved to appoint Erwin Kumka to the Eastman Vocational Training Center Committee. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second,
I'll second that.
Graham, thank you. Erwin, do you know how many meetings you're going to be attending, or?
No, not specifically. My understanding is what the Broken Head Development Corporation is attempting to do is to bring interested parties together and provide a coordinated effort to improve educational standards in our region. I've always had a keen interest in education, and I'd like to participate in this process.
And it says they're working with Shared Health, IERHA, and ACC, I'm not sure who ACC is, to explore the delivery of education programs in healthcare and social services in our region. So that would be great. So thank you for volunteering for that. Any other concerns, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, Erwin. 8C, new business.
Can we do this one?
Sure.
Just-
Well, do you want to do the letter of support?
Yeah.
We'll stick that in there. Sorry. Be it resolved to support the Bothasher Broken Head Development Corporation, BBDC, to pursue the development of the East Van Vocational Training Center, EVTC, in the Northeast Man region. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Any discussion, gentlemen? This is a letter of support so that they can get this moving. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
You want to keep it?
Nope, you can have it. Thank you very much. Community futures. Be it resolved to approve the mayor and any member of council to attend the Community Futures Winnipeg River Annual General Meeting and Awards Banquet on Monday, June 19th, 2023 at the Pioneer Club in beautiful downtown Lac Du Bonnet at 32 Park Avenue at 6 p.m. Further be it resolved, the RM cover registration costs and other incidentals for the meals and travel allowance policy 2022-001. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Graham. Second, Ian, thank you. I can try and attend this.
Yeah,
Graham, if
I would
you
like to
are
attend
sure.
if I can get away. The reason this is before council right now for approval is fairly June 5th is the deadline, so they can tell their caterer what they want, and what they don't want. But this resolution would cover all councilors who choose to attend. The last couple of years, I think it's Mike and myself.
All right, I think I'll try and attend, and if you can go as well, that'd be great.
Did you want the office to reserve for you guys, or do you want to do it yourself?
I can do that myself. You don't need to do that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Right, moving on to the golf course roof. Be it resolved to approve the expenditure of $7,140 plus GST for roofing repairs to the golf course garage and 2 shelters as quoted by Royal Wood Roofing. May I have a mover? Graham, second. I'll give it to Steve. Thank you. And I know you've tried to get a few quotes on these roofs, Graham, and you're down to one.
We certainly feel that we made the effort to get at least 3 quotes. So although that's not necessarily required for less than $10,000. Anyway, long story short, thanks to Carl who pulled Royal Wood out of a hat. Their number looks good. And I think we need to give them the go ahead to proceed with this work as soon as possible.
And can they go ahead as soon as they get the okay? You know?
I don't know. We'll find out as soon as we give it.
You want me to call them, or you?
Ron, are you going to give them the go ahead?
Yep.
You might even want to phone them
I will.
for quick feedback on how soon can they start.
Okay.
And I'll stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Promises.
Any further comments on this resolution?
Nope.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, the RMA, RMVB fire agreement. Be it resolved to approve the fire services agreement between the RM of Victoria Beach and the RM of Alexander as attached in Schedule A, which was provided to council. May I have a mover? Steve, do you want to move the fire one? Great, thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Seconded by Graham. Any discussion?
Very briefly, the meeting that we had with RMA a while ago, they sort of cast aspersions on this increasing this rate every year. So that I noticed that line is showed flat line, and I agree with that.
There's still room to change it. You just have to make a resolution for the end of the year, for the next year, so
Right.
it's flexible.
Okay, and calls so far seem to be down a bit, so we'll see. Don't know what the summer's gonna bring.
Hot and dry.
Hot and dry, yeah. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. The AMM June District Meeting, be it resolved to approve the mayor and any member of council to attend the AMM June District Meeting, June 16th in St. Anne, Manitoba. Further be it resolved, the RM cover registration costs and other incidentals as per the meals and travel allowance policy, 2022-001. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Or we'll beat you to it.
Okay.
Thank you. I try to attend this. I've got, there's 3 members of council who are eligible for 5-year pins, Graham, Erwin, and Steve, and those are presented at this meeting. I know.
Will you let them know?
I can let them know. Yeah,
Thank you.
we do have to let them know. So please register yourself. Well, I might have to register us all at once. So let me know if you're going to register, if you'd like to go, and I'll register us, please.
What's the time for the?
It's a full day,
So 9 to 5?
probably about 9 to 3:30. Yeah, in St. Anne.
What was the date of that, sorry?
It's June the 16th, Steve. I think it's a weekday. It's a work day for you.
Yeah,
2:15 it's over, yeah. And I
yeah,
don't
if
think,
it was July, that'd be ideal, but yeah, June 16th is difficult.
oh, they're always in June. All right, so let me know when I can register you, please. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Next, engineering assessment of the roof structure, be it resolved to approve the expenditure of $2,000 for an engineering assessment by Beach Rock Engineering of the roof structure from the old police trailer. Graham, would you like to move that?
Yeah, I'll move that.
Second. Ian, thank you.
And this is just to make recommendations or comment on how the vertical supports need to be attached to the ground so they don't sink in. It's my understanding that it's not going to be way to hell and gone up in the air like it was over top of the old police trailer. It'll be at a more rational height. And of course, I for one fervently hope that council approves this because it was done yesterday.
Still standing?
When's the roof built?
When was the roof built?
Yeah.
10, 11 years ago,
Oh, it came off the ark.
longer than that.
Longer than that.
Okay, it was built because the old police trailer, and it was a capital T trailer. It was a mouse hotel. The roof was leaking, so they put this roof over the top of it. And it stood up very well. There's no rotten lumber in it. It's in good shape. So we're trying to resuscitate the thing and give Public Works more ways that they can tidy up that yucky yard. They're making great progress, so I certainly support this.
Did they get rid of the old bus yet?
I'm not sure.
Well, they hid it. It's out of sight, out of mind. That's the new
When the
Public Works policy.
When the crane comes out, have them loaded on.
What about the school bus?
Haul it to the dump.
That's what Erwin's asking about. I'm not sure.
You talked about the school bus a few meetings ago, and when I drove by and I saw it, I couldn't believe how old it was.
It's an eyesore.
They've done a really nice job cleaning that up.
They're-
It was really messy
And
this spring and last fall, like,
Trevor
They've done a great
deserves a lot
job.
of credit, and so does Dave. He's
It is looking
set
better.
it up. It's looking better all the time, and this will further that looking thing.
All right, any further discussion on this specific resolution?
Look,
All those in favor?
all right.
Carried, thank you.
thank God you approved it. We
No
wouldn't have to
kidding.
pay for it.
Coming out of Graham's pocket.
Yeah, I know. Thank you all.
8H, be it resolved to approve the mayor and any member of council to attend the MAMEC, Manitoba Association of Municipal Emergency Coordinators Conference on Tuesday, June 20th at the Canada in Polo Park in Winnipeg. Further be it resolved, the RM cover registration costs and other incidentals for the meals and travel allowance policy 2022-01. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. I do notice this is on the same day as the council meeting here at 4:30. And it looks like the conference doesn't end until about 4.
Is this the one that,
Yeah,
is this the one that Brad normally goes to?
Brad should go to this.
He didn't go last year. I attended.
Did you?
It's very interesting.
It's one day.
Yeah.
Just I noticed in the agenda that the municipal portion is at the end of the day. And we'd have to leave right about when it starts.
Yeah.
But still, there's lots of interesting speakers and information to be heard.
Shelley did an excellent job last year. I think, we need to, about 3 years ago, we had a real good head of steam up on emergency preparedness, and COVID kind of set that all aside, but it's, the way this summer is shaping up, hot, dry,
Yeah,
we need to get back on track the way we were before.
all right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. And again, I think you can register yourself for this.
On that subject, we've now confirmed a date for a big get together with Shelley coming up out here.
We have confirmed a date to get together with Shelley for some council training, council and CAO training. And that is on the 25th of May, Thursday, from 11 until 2 at the fire hall. And Steve, Shelley said she can video it via Zoom and send it to you, so that you won't miss out on the. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Got that one done right.
I got Moby minutes next.
Now we have Moby Mats. Do we have Moby Mats? Yes.
I have it here.
It was on earlier, but we didn't do it.
It's
Is
under,
it an addition? Because it's not on the agenda here that I see.
yes, it's under new, it was an addition to the agenda. Be it resolved to approve the purchase of access mats, they're called. And they're from a distributor in Saskatchewan, from Ethical Solutions, for a total amount of $8,315.53. I sent this to council last week, and it is attached in Schedule A. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Graham. Second? Steve, thank you. These mats are for the Albert Beach project, and a lot of credit goes to Rob Bowman for sourcing these. He went to 3 or 4 different distributors to try and get costs, and the biggest difference was in shipping. But anyways, this was the best quote. He went back to Ethical Solutions in Saskatchewan a couple times, and they sharpened their pen, and it is a much more reasonable cost. And also there is a roller that you can purchase to roll them up in a storm and put them away. And Rod knows someone out here who can make one for much less than we would be required to spend if it was made by the companies.
On that question of how do we manage the storms on Lake Winnipeg, I think Moby mats are a very good idea, but I still have some serious concerns and reservations about Sunday night, the wind blows up, who's going to come out and roll them up? We saw what happened to the beach in Albert Beach last summer, and it's still littered with great big logs. I mean, is that Moby mat going to end up at Devil's Island?
They do come with spikes,
Yeah.
anchoring spikes.
Try driving a spike into sand.
Oh, you
Well-
go down deep enough to get into some clay if you're driving in a 3-4 foot length of rebar.
They're not that long,
Well,
but
then we can make them that long. We can buy rebar from lots of different places. Just put a kink in the end and
part of accessibility is accessibility to the beach, and that's what we promised in this area, and that's the only way to get them there is on mobility mats.
This is only a very small part of what the overall cost of providing Moby mats is going to be. And I think, that's something that has not been detailed out. There was no consideration in the budget for increased public work expenditures with respect to managing this situation. I'm fully supportive of this experiment. I hope it works. But I think, let's hope we're not in for too many surprises. I know what that lake can be like on a matter of hours notice.
Not even an hour, but, we have to try. This is part of the project. And once again, it's, I don't know how much more, there's no more cost in terms of the mats unless we increase them. Public Works, we pay anyway. We do have 2 extra staff this year to help us with washrooms and to help us with brush pickup. So,
Well, Rod, we'd already cut down on the total number of feet of mats to a practical minimum. And he managed to secure a very, very good price for us, a hell of a lot better than what we started out looking
Yeah.
at. This is the project where we have 25,000, then the RM is going to kick in 7 or 8 or 9. We'll argue over the difference later. The use of these mobile mats at Upper Beach is a trouble project. We'll see how it works out, but let's put a very strong recommendation that we put some serious pins in to hold them down. Colin Roy's got rebar. If she can cut it up and press the shop and put a bit of a bend in it, and that's a little bit, I think, what we gotta try.
Yeah.
We're obliged to
Who's
try.
gonna pull, who's pulling the pins out?
Or you just use a jack to pull them up.
Gonna do that every weekend?
well, hopefully we don't have to.
No, just in case of a severe storm.
Sandbags might work.
How big is one mat?
The mats that we've ordered are 5 feet wide by 50 feet long. We've ordered 2 of those. So one of them is going to go partway down the access road. And then the other one, the other 50-foot one will go parallel to the beach. And then there's one 5 by 16-foot mat that will go underneath the one that's parallel to the beach so that a person with a mobility device can get off the main mat. So we're starting.
What does the manufacturer say about securing the mats?
These specs that they recommend, yeah, they all recommend
They
the
provide that?
same spec.
And it just,
They're on oceans, they're in New Jersey, they're, bigger places in Victoria Beach, but
do we have to lift them up then? We think a storm's coming.
if the storm's coming, it might be better to lift them, but hopefully we only have to do it at the end of the season and beginning of the
Right.
season, hopefully.
As Graham said, it's an experiment worth doing. Let's hope it works, but
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a learning curve.
All right, any further discussion? Start, Steve, go ahead.
I was just going to say that while I don't really trust the weather network as far as I can throw them to get anything right, they are usually half decent at telling you what's going to happen that day, half decent. So I mean, just taking a look at the general forecast, I would just say it's something that Public Works and maybe the office needs to just take a small bit of a closer look at from the day-to-day operations while it's the mobile mats are actually being used and are out, and then they can adjust. So yes, that lake can change on a dime, but by and large, we sort of know as to when there's going to be a half decent storm brewing up. So yes, it is a risk, but it's also something that's not only necessary, it's a requirement to do for accessibility. But I don't see it as being that much of a drain really on Public Works as we might anticipate it could possibly be.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Well, we think it's a risk worth taking. It's deplorable that members of our community have never been given the opportunity to get their feet in the water, just their toes. We have to do the best we can to make this work out.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Donna.
We'll call an order. We'll call an order.
Yes,
Or you go.
you can let Rob do it.
Okay.
Do you want to get in touch with
Yeah, I
Rob?
will. I wrote it down.
Okay, thank you.
They're repaired.
Stair repair, Graham's resolution for stair repair.
Hold on.
Do you, I want to say be it resolved to approve
I haven't written anything. Stair repair, any no, no.
stair repair for municipal
As
stairs,
attached.
Yeah, for a total of, you got the
For a
paper
total of
there, 16,800.
$16,800 plus taxes, Graham?
No, he's got the taxes in there.
Taxes included? For
These
eight-
are 8 locations. The most expensive one is 6,000 and change.
Okay, let's just get the resolution done
Okay.
first.
It said be resolved to approve the stair repair expenditures as attached in the amount of $16,800.
Yeah, in favor of Tech Dynasty.
Yeah, by Deck Dynasty.
Lon, do you want to give him the go-ahead?
Well, let's
I will.
have to pass the resolution first.
Okay.
So just let me reread that. Be it resolved to approve the stair repair as attached in the amount of $60,800 by Deck Dynasty. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Second, Ian? Sorry, Steve, you're a little too late. And discussion, Graham, thank you for dealing with Deck Dynasty. I know you tried to get others to do these repairs.
Yeah, and Grant was the right choice, and he got on his horse and rode all over. This covers the 7 sets of steps where we'll get the best bang for the buck based on safety and usage and stuff like that. So there are others that are going to have to be addressed sooner or later, but we want to get started. This started out as $100,000 deductible insurance claim, so we're doing real well with this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Go ahead.
This is the time to sure. Just want to add we had a request from Heather Wilby on Bayview. There's a laneway there. I'm not sure of all the details of what's happened in the past, but I think she's been asking for a couple of years to make it accessible to the beach. So I drove down there this afternoon to take a look at it. I was really quite surprised to see the slope. I mean, it's a very gradual slope. It looks like somebody's put big stones in place so you can walk on these stones to go down. And then there's the last little bit, which I think needs to be adjusted. But when I looked at it, I thought this is just a perfect scenario for some stairs going down. There's a sort of a platform, and you could have stairs that go down as a second part, which you can take off in the wintertime. So that might be an inexpensive way of solving that issue. So then Graham and I were talking, and Graham was suggesting that, we always try to build these things as if we're building a cabin. And maybe some of these things, we should just get the actual contractor, take a look at it and say, what can you do for us? Take a look at that, give us the solution as to how to build something. It might only last 10 or 15 years, but take a look at it, give us a quote, and then just go that route to get some of these things, the easy ones, off the table so that people can get to the beach.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. You and I had a very good conversation earlier today. There's a request for proposals, just ask, how would you deal with this? Don't forget, you walk down that nice little path, you see how it tapers on down to the beach. You're not on our property. We need a survey.
Whose property we on?
The new development at, well, when we get down to the beach, it's Crown Land. Way down there, there's a brand new house, number 35, Bayview, and he's got his survey stakes right there. And they're just about in line with those nice stepping stones that we've been looking at for years. So we're going to do the whole project over.
Well, I did go down there to take a look at that, and it's the trail that leads towards those rocks.
Yeah.
We were sort of hugging his side of the property line. We have lots of room on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a trail. So we're cutting some trees to move the trail part more to the west. And then, but you can still use the same stones that go down. I don't think the stones are on this property.
No, the original steps, or the second or third attempt, there's been many attempted steps there. I every winter. The original site, I checked, I was down there crawling all over it through there, there was some debris left. The original steps were about 35 or 45 feet to the north of the nice stepping stones that you see, so I has to move over that way, which might involve having to remove some trees, things like that. That's why I think we should have a survey so we know exactly where we're going. And then it might be that we could short circuit it with our own, we issue permits to ourselves. Custom work on ground land. And not even bother with the screw valves, just slap it in and make the step part of it detachable so that public works can winch it up. If it gets caught in the storm, we have to rebuild the damn thing every year. It's only a couple $1,000 anyway. What the hell?
I think you remove that last section of the steps.
Well,
Yeah, there's a lot of big rocks there, so it has to be a lot of ice.
well, I'm the opinion that we need a survey so we know exactly where we stand with the location that path down to it. Or to hell with the survey, let's just put it in where we think it should go.
If the trail doesn't impact on the neighbor's yard, then surely the steps down to the beach won't. That's Crown land or municipal reserve one. of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
I
And,
don't know.
and we're not, and let's forget about fisheries and oceans. They're not this group of us.
What Grant doing all these other steps? I'm taking a look at it and see.
I ran out of time today. I was going to share that photo with them and say, Matt, what can you do for us to help serve with this? And I'll likely meet them there in the next couple of days, see if we can find a more simple, direct solution to give the people what they've been kept waiting for years. Absolutely.
Steve, did you have your hand up? And then Erwin has his hand up, so.
Yeah, just only because I didn't see the stairs, but I did bring it up last year was there's some stairs that are on the west side of David Road that are very treacherous to approach. So I didn't see them in this list here, but the approach, just kind of like Ian was mentioning before, is a little precarious. So just to add one to the list, I thought that we had added it previously, but that must have been missed.
Are you talking about the Red Wing stairs?
That's the name of them, but I've always heard them referred to as the David Road stairs, but.
They're at the end of David Road and they are on the list
They're
for
on the
repair.
list.
They're on the list.
Okay, all right. Then it was named something else. So yes, that's awesome.
I took a look at those as well while I was down there. They look like
They are relative.
they don't really look like there's a lot of work.
Done
to
here
it,
before
but
last.
It's pretty good shape.
But they do need a bit of work and the approach to them needs some sand. So,
And we have had to get used to the fact that as long as we have steps down to the beach, there's going to be a maintenance factor associated with them every year. Not necessarily every one of them, but most of them. Some of them. Where are we at?
We are still at the discussion stage.
So can we agree that we should just maybe get Grant to take a look at this and come back with a quote and
We'll
see
leave
what
that.
happens next meeting?
Yeah, I'll do the best that I can to come up with I don't want to say cheap and dirty, but a more practical down to earth solution
Just get it
to
done.
this problem.
So people can get their toes in the water.
Erwin,
Just a comment, there seems to be some concern that Graham has with respect to property lines. Why don't we just go talk to the neighbor and ask him what he thinks about the idea?
well, that's another suggestion.
My guess is that he probably would like that.
He does have 3 little kids who might like to have
Yeah.
access to the beach there.
Well, I've been thinking about it since it surfaced. I've got a plan.
Okay.
Leave it with me. I'll report soon.
All right. All right. Hearing nothing further, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you, Graham, and thank you, Grant. I look forward to getting this done. Okay. I believe what is up next is the parking rates.
Yep.
Is that correct, Lon? All right. Be it resolved to approve the 2023 parking lot rates as attached. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Graham? Thank you. Kevin and Sandra submit rates annually for council to approve. One of the new things this year is the second car has been removed. For decades, you could have a second, third, fourth car, it seems, for less than one car. And Kevin and Sandra are seeing that increase to 2 or 3 or 4 cars, and it doesn't make sense.
Never makes sense.
So I'm very glad actually to see that the second car has disappeared and everyone now pays $50 a car. No, you pay $50 a car.
That's what I pay.
Well, most people pay less for this. You used to pay less for the second car.
Oh.
$5 or something.
Used to be
So
10 or 15 less.
So that has been removed, which makes sense to me.
It makes sense. It's taking up the
So
spot.
$50 per car going forward.
Yes, now before I go any further, did I get that moved and seconded?
Yep.
Okay,
You got it.
Ian and Green.
okay, so yeah, so you've got the rates in front of you, so it's $50 per car. Period. You know, some residents now come up and they've got, 2 or 3 or 4 kids and they've each got a car and they're going after the second car. Well, no.
My family comes up, there's 5 cars in the driveway.
Yeah, so, and then they slightly increased some of the rates for,
Reasonable to me.
Yeah, me
but
too.
not much. Their prices are going up too. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. We've done the Broken Head Development Corp, or is that? Yes. Sorry. Moby Maps we've done. Sorry, now I'm catching up.
9B.
Have we done that one?
Yes, we
We did, okay. All right, 9B, well, 9B I've got as correspondence, right? So
Yeah.
the vehicle restricted area, in case residents are not aware, Thursday, June 22nd at 11:59 PM is when the restriction goes into effect, until Monday, September 4th at 6 AM, when the gates or the restriction opens up again. Reminder about the 2023 brush pickup program, which will be done by Public Works. So please place your brush in front of your yard, in the front of your yard or in front of your yard.
where they always do.
And Public Works will come and pick it up, and then it'll be taken over to the fire hall where it will eventually be chipped by the big chipping machine.
They can also bring it to the fire hall too if they want.
If they have the ability and the desire and can load it up, they can please also take it to the fire department.
And you just mentioned the deadline is June 18th.
Deadline is June 18th for putting your brush out, please. Otherwise, keep it on your property until the summer is over and we start the fall brush pickup.
What's the story with putting brush on a road allowance?
Well, I think people will put it where they've always put it, if it's the road allowance or their front of their property. Just, be nice if they could pile it nicely, it makes it a little easier to pick up.
And make sure that there's only brush.
Only brush.
No washing machine?
No washing machines, no building material, no barbecues, no chairs, bathtubs, no bathtubs,
Leave them all.
mattresses, right. There will be some information coming out about the new garbage and recycling site for residents, just so to advise them what we do and don't take. It will be staffed, as we said earlier, open from 9 to 5.
We have passes, the plastic passes for your car. It's going to be used for the waste transfer site and also the landfill, Traverse Bay.
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah. It'll be
So if we have an existing dump pass, that's gonna work.
I hope so. Yeah, we're trying to figure out how we're going to disperse these, the new ones that we have.
I was just wondering exactly that. How-
Yeah,
we don't-
It's
not
still
quite
a work
sure
in
yet.
progress.
Yeah, so it's a lot of tedious work and I don't know if Public Works is up to that one, but
Well, there's a lot of dump passes already.
Yeah.
We let those continue to be used and
Yep.
issue new ones.
How about the people at the gate? Did they handle it?
that's up for discussion. We don't know yet. Yeah, but you're right, Erwin, yeah.
Now, non-residents are gonna be paying some sort of tipping fee.
Non-residents will have to pay if they want one of our passes. And all of us will have to pay for tipping fees. If you bring a mattress to Public Works,
No matter
you're
where
going
you
to
go.
have to pay because we have to pay to get it when we get it to Traverse Bay
But no tipping on regular garbage.
or regular recycling.
If you have.
If you have a
if you
pass.
have a pass.
But yeah, lots of details to work out yet, but
Yeah, never thought about the curve.
yeah. All right, I've reminded council about the EMO training. Did you see the Canada Census notice that came out? That they have reviewed our census numbers and they were wildly out,
More or less.
less. They had us publish population of permanent residents at 689. It's actually 447.
Good. That's an increase of about 5%.
Decrease, yeah. Private dwellings were 358, they're actually 246.
Just as said.
Private dwellings occupied or unoccupied by foreign or temporary residents, so seasonal, they had it at 1496, it's actually 1415. And total private dwellings, they had 1,854, it's actually 16.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Census.
And it says what happened is they found errors in the population and dwelling count and adjustments were made.
Years. That's,
And that's their rationale.
I would make them stick with the original.
Yeah. And I only have one other thing that I just want to say before I pass the torch, is that I would like residents to remember they need to be respectful when contacting the RM office or Public Works or council. I'm hearing too often that there's passionate, angry, or disappointed residents who are taking their anger, passion, or disappointment out on our employees and expecting us to just take it. And that needs to stop. It has an impact on all of us, and we're doing the best we can. And abusive language and disrespectful comments are not necessary or productive on any one of us or any one of the volunteers in our community. So just a reminder.
Nothing wrong with passion, just be respectful.
Just sorry, a question going back to the, where we're taking the garbage. Do we have a date or a rough idea when that's going to start to work?
Hopefully this summer. Juan, what do you think?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well,
And
they're
then-
trying to get the blocks all lined up and get their.
Yeah, it's on hold right now because the water treatment plant, they're all walking the
Yes.
lines every day and it's still not finished yet. So,
There's always something that seems to get us.
yeah, then there'll be that, and there'll be brush pickup. So hopefully
this
by
summer.
June, July 1st, I hope.
There will be an announcement as soon as we're able to.
And those garbage bins, pickups Mondays? What it is?
Right now, garbage pickup in the beach area, in the whole municipality is Mondays. But all those satellite garbage bins will be across the street in the fenced compound. There won't be any of those green municipal satellite bins.
How about the one at Saffy's?
I'm not sure about
It's a
Saffy's, I'm not
fixture.
sure
They use
about,
it all
I'm not
the
sure. I
time.
mean, that's a private,
Since you
that's a
took
private
my bin
business,
away,
I'm
That's
not
my
sure.
favorite bin.
I know.
Okay.
Just one item that I forgot to add on earlier. 2 weeks ago, I did attend a day-long seminar in Port Perry dealing with medical first responders.
Mhm.
AMM has been very effective in lobbying the provincial government to make some changes because currently and for the last 2 years, we have not had any medical first responders in Victoria Beach, which puts our population very vulnerable. If things are working perfectly well, an ambulance could arrive from Pine Falls in half an hour or 2 hours. The College of Paramedics is working with the Department of Health, and they are developing a plan which they are referring to as fire first responders. Currently, our fire department can be called out by 911 to a motor vehicle accident. But if someone's having a heart attack in Victoria Beach or Albert Beach, our fire department is not called by 911. And I was grateful for the fact that it seems that the government is finally starting to listen to the fact that we need medical first responders. You know, someone has a heart attack and the neighbor comes by and watches the poor guy die. Because it takes 30 or 40 or 50 minutes for an ambulance to get out here. It's hoped that probably by sometime in 2024, some plans will be put in place which would allow our fire department, some of the people within the fire department to take more advanced training. They're talking about reducing the training requirements. The plans that are currently in place right now are just unattainable, both in terms of time that the person has to volunteer, in terms of the cost. So in spite of the whole process working very slowly, I think some progress is being made, and it was encouraging to hear that finally, the government's starting to listen about the need for medical first responders in Victoria Beach.
Well, thank you for that, Drew. That's good news. And fortunately for us, as this plays out, I think the majority of our first responders are also members of our fire department. So it's kind of one big happy family if they get their laws straight.
Well, the problem is that, you know, medical first responders have essentially stood down for the last 2.5 years. So it's going to be a challenge to get people invigorated, excited again, because they were doing a good job. But time has gone by, and I think it's going to take us a while to get staffed up and have it working the way it was working before.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Steve?
On correspondence?
Sorry, yeah, Steve had his hand up and then I'll go back to you, Greg.
Yeah, so just on what Erwin just said, I think it's really important to recognize the fact that, as he sort of alluded to, lives have been lost because of this move. By removing the status of the first responders for all these rural communities. I'm sure nobody's tallied how many additional fatalities have resulted because of that horrendous decision. But the sooner that we can get proper medical care in Victoria Beach on this reversed, hopefully, the better. Just going back quite a bit over to the wood chipping, which is just a reminder to everybody that you can take the wood chips from our piles in the yard. You can even call over to a couple of companies in the local area. They'll come over and haul them over for you. So you don't necessarily have to just do it by yourself. I know that can be a real pain, and I've done that. And also just, again, please use them because it can do two things. The first is it retains moisture in the soil, so it reduces our fire risk. And then the second thing is that if you use it in your gardens, because I know that a lot of people are really starting gardens now, you can save a lot of money on soil. So you can mix it up on the inside of the bottom part of your gardens, and we get rid of a lot of those wood chips, better for the soil. And then at the same time, it's you get healthier plants. So there you go.
Thank you, Steve. Graham?
Very brief item on your correspondence. We've all got a letter from the Elgin Beach Association to announce their AGM on June the 3rd at 2 p.m. at Elgin Beach. And I understand they've applied for a special event permit, so we won't be chased around the block like last time.
You just have some more cars. All right, anything else, gentlemen? Hearing nothing, be it resolved, the May 16th, 2023 regular council meeting be adjourned. And to confirm, the next council meeting will be on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. in Victoria Beach at the East Beaches Social Scene. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. All those in favor?
All right.
Carried. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
That means Frank.
This one, it's June 6th.
June 6th.
Sorry about that.
June 6th, 2022, 23.
June 6th.
Let's quit
Thank you.
over it. It's cheap.
It's here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.